Hey, it's Joan, and welcome back for another 15-minute session of Creativity Live. And in these daily sessions, I'll be sharing with you about the incredible book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I'll also be telling you about the class that I'm leading this summer, where we're basically just going to be working through this book. And it's June 3rd through August 26th. And you can join online, whether you join via a Zoom video conference or you can just dial in. So I hope you will check that out. The link is right there. But anyhow, so today our topic is Creativity Live, and the topic is, can you teach creativity? So there's a lot of myths out there about creativity, right? I mean, a lot of us we've heard things like, oh, she's a really creative person, or it takes a lot of discipline, or all these different things, that creativity can be someone else. Or it could be that I used to be creative, but now I'm blocked. And so what Julia Cameron has figured out is a way to teach creativity. And so that's what the introduction is going to be talking about, is some of the preconceptions around that. So I'm just going to be reading the introduction to In the Artist's Way. This is the 25th anniversary edition. Okay. When people ask me what I do, I usually answer, I'm a writer-director and I teach these creativity workshops. The last one interests them. How can you teach creativity? They want to know. Defiance fights with curiosity on their faces. I can't, I tell them. I teach people to let themselves be creative. Oh, you mean we're all creative? Now disbelief and hope battle it out. Yes. You really believe that? Yes. So what do you do? Well, this book is what I do. This is the Julia Cameron writing. For a decade now, I have taught a spiritual workshop aimed at freeing people's creativity. And so it was a decade when she first wrote this, but now it's been 25 years later. So we're talking about 35 years if I'm doing the math and understanding the timing correctly. For a decade now, I have taught a spiritual workshop aimed at freeing people's creativity. I have taught artists and non-artists, painters and filmmakers, and homemakers and lawyers, anyone interested in living more creatively through practicing an art. Even more broadly, anyone interested in practicing the art of creative living. While using, teaching, and sharing tools I have found, devised, and divined, and been handed, I have seen blocks dissolved and lives transformed by the simple process of engaging the great Creator in discovering and recovering our creative powers. The great Creator, that sounds like some Native American god. That sounds too Christian, too New Age, too stupid, simple-minded, threatening? I know. Think of it as an exercise in open-mindedness. Just think, okay, great Creator, whatever that is, and keep reading. Allow yourself to experiment with the idea that there might be a great Creator and you might get some kind of use from it in freeing your own creativity. Because the Artist's Way is, in essence, a spiritual path initiated and practiced through creativity, this book uses the word God. This may be volatile for some of you, conjuring old, unworkable, unpleasant, or simply unbelievable ideas about God as you were raised to understand Him. Please be open-minded. Remind yourself that to succeed in this course, no God concept is necessary. In fact, many of our commonly held God concepts get in the way. Do not allow semantics to become one more block for you. When the word God is used in these pages, you may substitute the thought, good, orderly direction, or flow. What we are talking about is a creative energy. God is useful shorthand for many of us, but so is goddess, mind, universe, source, and higher power. The point is not what you name it. The point is that you are trying to use it. For many of us, thinking of it as a form of spiritual electricity has been a very useful jumping off place. By the simple scientific approach of experimentation and observation, a workable connection with the flow of good, orderly direction can easily be established. It is not the intent of these pages to engage in explaining, debating, or defining that flow. You do not need to understand electricity for you to use it. Do not call it God unless that is comfortable for you. There seems to be no need to name it unless that name is a useful shorthand for what you experience. Do not pretend to believe when you do not. If you remain forever an atheist, agnostic, so be it. You will still be able to experience an altered life through working with these principles. I have worked artist to artist with potters, photographers, poets, screenwriters, dancers, novelists, actors, directors, and with those who knew only what they dreamed to be or who only dreamed of being somehow more creative. I have seen block painters paint, broken poets speak in tongues, halt and lame and maimed writers racing through final drafts. I have come to not only believe, but know. No matter what your age or your life path, whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it is not too late or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. One 50-year-old student who always wanted to write used these tools and emerged as a prize-winning playwright. A judge used these tools to fulfill his lifelong dreams of sculpting. Not all students become full-time artists as a result of the course. In fact, many full-time artists report that they have become more creatively rounded into full-time people. Through my own experience and that of countless others that I have shared, I have come to believe that creativity is our true nature, that blocks are an unnatural thwarting of a process at once as normal and as miraculous as the blossoming of a flower at the end of a slender green stem. I have found this process of making spiritual contact to be both simple and straightforward. If you are creativity blocked, and I believe all of us are to some extent, it is possible, even probable, that you can learn to create more freely through your willing use of the tools of this book provides. Just as doing hatha yoga stretches alters consciousness when all you are doing is stretching, doing the exercises in this book alters consciousness when all you are doing is writing and playing. Do these things and a breakthrough will follow, whether you believe in it or not, whether you call it a spiritual awakening or not. In short, the theory doesn't matter as much as the practice itself does. What you're doing is creating pathways in your consciousness through which the creative forces can operate. Once you agree to clearing these pathways, your creativity emerges. In a sense, your creativity is like your blood. Just as blood is a fact of your physical body and nothing you invented, creativity is a fact of your spiritual body and nothing that you must invent. My own journey. Again, this is Julia Cameron. I began teaching the creativity workshops in New York. I taught them because I was told to teach them. One minute I was walking in the West Village on a cobblestone street with beautiful afternoon light. The next minute I suddenly knew that I should begin teaching people, groups of people, how to unblock. Maybe it was a wish exhaled on somebody else's walk. Certainly Greenwich Village must contain a greater density of artists, blocked and otherwise, than nearly any place in America. I need to unblock, someone may have breathed out. I know how to do it, I may have responded, picking up the cue. My life has always included strong internal directives, marching orders, I call them. In any case, I suddenly knew that I did know how to unblock people and that I was meant to do so, starting then and there with the lessons I myself had learned. In 1970, so where did the lessons come from? In 1978, in January, I stopped drinking. I had never thought drinking made me a writer, but now I suddenly thought not drinking might make me stop. In my mind, drinking and writing went together. Like, well, scotch and soda. For me, the trick was always getting past the fear and onto the page. I was playing to beat the clock, trying to write before the booze closed in like fog and my window of creativity was blocked again. By the time I was 30 and abruptly sober, I had an office on the Paramount lot and had made a whole career out of that kind of creativity. Creativity in spasms. Creativity as an act of will and ego. Creativity on behalf of others. Creative, yes, but in spurts, like blood from a severed carotid artery. A decade of writing, and all I knew was how to make these headlong dashes and hurl myself against all odds at the wall of whatever I was writing. If creativity was spiritual in any sense, it was only in its resemblance to a crucifixion. I fell upon the thorns of prose. I bled. If I could have continued writing the old painful way, I certainly would still be doing it. The week I got sober, I had 2 national magazine pieces out, a newly minted feature script, and an alcohol problem I could not handle any longer. I told myself that if sobriety meant no creativity, I did not want to be sober. Yet I recognized that drinking would kill me and the creativity. I needed to learn to write sober, or else give up writing entirely. Necessity, not virtue, was the beginning of my spirituality. I was forced to find a new creative path, and that is where my lessons begin. I learned to turn my creativity over to the only God I could believe in, the God of creativity, the life force Dylan Thomas called the force that through the green fuse drives the flower. I learned to get out of the way and let that creative force work through me. I learned to just show up at the page and write down what I heard. Writing became more like eavesdropping and less like inventing a nuclear bomb. It wasn't so tricky, and it didn't blow up on me anymore. I didn't have to be in the mood. I didn't have to take my emotional temperature to see if inspiration was pending. I simply wrote, no negotiations. Good, bad, none of my business. I wasn't doing it. By resigning as a self-conscious author, I wrote freely. In retrospect, I'm astounded I could let go of the drama of being a suffering artist. Nothing dies harder than a bad idea, and few ideas are worse than the ones we have about art. We can charge so many things off to our suffering artist identity. Drunkenness, promiscuity, fiscal problems, a certain ruthlessness or certain self-destructiveness in matters of the heart. We all know how broke, crazy, promiscuous, unreliable artists are. And if they don't have to be, then what's my excuse? The idea that I could be sane, sober, and creative terrified me, implying, as it did, the possibility of personal accountability. You mean if I have these gifts, I'm supposed to use them? Yes. Providentially, I was sent another blocked writer to work with and on at this time. I began to teach him what I was learning. Get out of the way, let it work through you, accumulate pages, not judgment. He too began to unblock. Now there were 2 of us. Soon I had another victim, this one a painter. The tools worked for visual artists too. This was very exciting to me. In my grander moments, I imagined I was turning into a creative cartographer, mapping a way out of confusion for myself and for whoever wanted to follow. I never planned to become a teacher. I was only angry I'd never had a teacher myself. What did I have to learn? Why did I have to learn what I learned the way I learned it? All by trial and error, all by walking into walls. We artists should be more teachable, I thought. shortcuts, and hazards of the trail could be flagged. These were the thoughts that eddied with me as I took my afternoon walks, enjoying the lights off the Hudson, plotting what I would write next. Enter the marching orders I was to teach. All right, I'm going to stop there, but that is the intro to the artist way. And so the main idea here is that creativity is something that we all have access to. And if you are not feeling creative right now, or you'd like to be more creative, then there is a way to reclaim it. And this book walks us through it. And so that's what I'll be doing with anybody that wants to do it with me, up to a total of 20 people this summer, June 3rd through August 26th. And it's $237 for one payment, or you can break it up 4 payments of $99. And if you just feel like you want to connect with your purpose, your passion, you just want a little more zing in your life, then this would be a perfect thing to do with us this summer. And how does this apply to being an eco advocate? Because that's my baseline, is taking care of the environment. Well, the more creative you are, the more you can think outside the box. I was raised as an engineer. I never once thought of bringing in music or art to try to help people understand the principles that I was trying to share with them. And by doing so, I limited my impact. So that's what this bringing more creativity into your life means, that you'll be more likely to be able to take creative risks like that, and overall be more effective, have a bigger impact, and be a bigger part of the solution that I feel is so urgent for our world right now. And so thank you very much for hanging out today for Creativity Live. And I'm doing this most days during the month of May at 9 a.m. on Facebook, so at Green Team Academy. So hope to see you back again here tomorrow. All right, have a great day. Bye.